folks. I want to chat for a moment about Lori Daybell, a woman who's made a career out of controlling everybody in the room, in every room that she's ever walked into. And now she's got a brand new audience, a jury made up of 13 men and just 3 women. So the question on the table is all about, will Lori Daybell try to seduce the jury? And I don't mean with a wink and a red dress. I think she's playing a much deeper game. Hey, thanks for joining and welcome to Profiling Evil. In this episode, we're going to truly profile evil and speculate a little bit on Lori Daybell's long game in representing herself in this murder trial, a trial for killing her 4th husband, Charles Vallow. Lori Cox, Lori Yanes, Lori Yangiola, Lori Ryan, Lori Vallow, sheesh, and now Lori Daybell. She's the star of her own spiritual soap opera. And by the way, you can get all this information by going to my website at profilingevil.com and checking out the Doomsday Couples story map. I'm going to show you right here some of that. I think you're really going to enjoy it, so I hope you'll go check it out. You can find the Doomsday Story Map by going to profilingevil.com and going under the tab Story Maps. When you're on the Story Maps page, just go down to the Doomsday Daybell Story Map. Click on that, and it'll take you right over to the story map where you can start to explore this crazy case. Gives you a chance to look at different things. You'll see these tabs along the bottom here. You can look at Chad's turn in this whole thing, the murder charges against them, an overview, and you can even go in and look at Lori's lifetime here and get a little more information to kind of get an understanding of all these husbands that she had over time. You'll see there's a cool map to the right, and that map kind of shows you the location where each of these events occurred. You can check out her first marriage in 1992 to Nelson Yanes. And then 95 when she marries William Langiola. Take her a little while further to get to 2001 when she marries Joseph Ryan. And we learn a little more about Joseph Ryan in this thing, a little bit about him being found dead, the circumstances around that, and then her marriage to Charles Vallow. And each of these, as you go along the way, will have a little more information about them, including things about Chad Daybell and Tammy Daybell, their relationship, and where things go from there. As you explore this story map, you'll find all kinds of cool information, even talking about things like their thoughts on light and dark spirits, or a little discussion about Lori's sister, Stacy Cope, information about Joseph Ryan, and again, his death and what happened around that. So I think you'll really enjoy going into the story map and exploring things on this, including looking at some of the past case history as you explore more about this crazy case. Now, if you're just tuning in, the story map's a great way to get caught up on the drama. You see, Lori Vallow Daybell isn't your average murder suspect. She's an already convicted killer of her 2 children, people that she thought were zombies, and the conspiratory killer of her soon-to-be husband's wife. She's a doomsday preaching, apocalyptic prepping, high gloss, scripture slinging killer that somehow convinced a half a dozen people to do her bidding, all while she smiled sweetly like she just stepped out of a church social. Oh, and by the way, she's now on trial for killing her 4th husband, Charles Vallow. Do you remember how I said she's the kind of a manipulative killer who somehow convinced a half a dozen people to do her bidding? Well, one of those people was her brother Alex. He's the guy that actually pulled the trigger on Charles, although she was reportedly the person behind the trigger squeeze. But somehow, once again, she floated right through it like the misunderstood heroine of a twisted romance novel. something entitled Touched by an Angel, the End of Times edition. Well, in just a few days, a jury was selected in this new trial, and that's pretty remarkable in and of itself. Because her murder trial, the jury selection originally in the first murder trial took 5 days. But you got to keep in mind that there are a lot of people that live in Maricopa County, Arizona, that probably haven't heard of Lori Daybell. If you think about it, compared to Ada County, Idaho, there's a big difference. When I looked at the population numbers, Maricopa County had 774% more people to choose from. And from that pool of people, the court landed on 13 men and 3 women who are going to decide Lori Vallow's fate. Now, she's never going to leave prison, and many have wondered why on earth we're going through this process, and it's because Charles Vallow deserves justice. Well, when the jury pool ended up this way, 13 men and 3 women, I had to stop and ask myself, did Lori Daybell handpick this jury on Tinder? I mean, this is the exact kind of setup that she thrives in. Male-dominated rooms where she can simply tilt her head, blink a few times, and convince everybody that she's the victim. And trust me, she's already laying the groundwork for those words. In fact, I'm having flashbacks of previous court appearances, motion hearings, testimony from people who knew her. You know, she's been known for blurting out things like, quote, "I'm being ambushed." Before this trial even started, Lori was crying foul in every direction. In court, she complained that she was being ambushed by the state, or that she wasn't allowed to roam freely in the jail while talking on the phone with privacy that she wanted. I think she's forgotten that she doesn't have the same rights as most murder defendants who are still free and awaiting trial. Lori Daybell is a convicted killer of 2 children, her children, and her lover's wife. I mean, really. She's now charged with conspiracy to commit murder, and she's upset that she can't stroll through jail like it's a mall food court. And then she fired her attorneys, probably because they weren't listening to the voices going on in her head. You see, she claims that the voices are from her God. And I hope you caught that I said her God. I did it really intentionally because I'm not sure she's listening to the same one that you and I believe in. She's also become a do it yourself defense disaster, telling the court that she didn't need lawyers because she was spiritually instructed to represent herself. Now that's confidence or delusion, or maybe both. She said something along the lines of, "Nobody knows my case like I do." Well, that might be true. She did, in fact, dream up the scheme. She, in fact, acted out the scheme. And she almost got away with it. But that doesn't make her a lawyer. And I think we all know people who shouldn't even represent themselves in a traffic court, let alone a murder trial. So remember, though, that this is the same woman who, during her Idaho sentencing, looked the judge in the eye and actually said, quote, "I've had so many manifestations and visits from people in heaven." And then she went on to include that she'd talked to JJ and Ty Lee, who she says appeared to her after their deaths, claiming that they were really busy and they were really happy in heaven, as if that somehow makes all of this okay. And now we're left wondering, and really, who's wondering? Will Lori Daybell try to use her manipulative charm in court? My bet is absolutely. So let's be clear. I don't think she's going to go out there batting her eyes like she's on the death row edition of The Bachelorette. But make no mistake about it, she's going to be using every subtle tool in her arsenal. The gentle voice, the doe-eyed expressions, the conveniently timed crocodile tears, and that poor me body language. I wouldn't be surprised if she throws a dramatic pause here and there, and a Bible verse or two for good measure. And she'll certainly play the victim card. But let's not forget those early police interviews when Charles was still alive. She was telling police officers then that Charles was trying to kill her. that he was crazy, that she's done nothing wrong, and that she's being persecuted for her beliefs. This is the same woman who also giggled about being the new person in the neighborhood while the coroner was hauling off her dead husband's body. It's the same woman who acted like a trip to Burger King right after her husband was murdered is the logical next step. She's been playing the victim card longer than most of us have had cable. But here's where things really get spooky, folks. Her manipulation might actually work on a male jury. With 13 men on the jury, Lori might be counting on the white knight effect, that age old instinct in some men to protect the damsel in distress. She's going to paint herself as misunderstood, spiritually abused by Chad, manipulated by Alex. Just a good mom who loved religion and got in over her head. Now remember, that's the good mom who's already convicted of killing her children if the state can somehow get that information in on the trial. Well, here's the thing about Arizona law, and this is where it gets really both fascinating and frightening, in my opinion, because Lori Daybell doesn't need to convince all 16 jurors that she's innocent. She doesn't even need to sway the majority. All she needs is one. That's right. In Arizona, a murder conviction requires a unanimous verdict. Every juror has to agree, beyond a reasonable doubt, that Lori is guilty of murder. If just one juror raises their hand and says, "Hey, I'm not sure," then we're not looking at a guilty verdict. We're looking at a hung jury, a mistrial, a do over. And that's where Lori's charm offensive might be laser focused. She doesn't have to convince the room. She just needs a crack in the foundation. One man, maybe somebody who thinks she's genuine or broken or misunderstood. One person who sees this grieving widow instead of a calculating conspirator. Lori's been playing the long game since Charles Vallow was alive. She played the victim card, the God card, and now she's playing the jury card. And based on Arizona law, it's a smart, although sinister, strategy. Let's just say she flashes that same soft spoken sincerity she's used before. She holds her emotions just right. She tosses in just enough spiritual language to sound devout without sounding unhinged. That might be enough for a juror to think she doesn't look like a killer to me, and that's all she needs. Again, because under Arizona law, guilt has to be unanimous. If one person doubts the other 15 are ready to convict, it's a hung jury. And you better believe Lori Daybell knows that. This is why her courtroom behavior matters. It's why her self representation, her carefully timed statements, her body language, all of it is more than just theatrics. It's a calculated strategy because in the end, she doesn't need to win over the crowd. She just has to charm one. And with the right tone, the right look, and the right tear at the right moment, somebody might just buy it. But I also think that this is something where she's playing with fire if this is truly her strategy. This isn't her inner circle of like minded friends. These aren't brainwashed followers who are emotionally entangled through love affairs. These are jurors. And even if one of them smells manipulation, it could turn the whole group quickly. And when the stakes are this high, the last thing jurors want is to feel like they're being played. This whole trial, from start to finish, is a performance. Lori's trying to script it like she's scripted everything else. Only now, the audience isn't Alex and Chad. It's 16 people with the power to lock her away forever, and she knows it. And so I predict she's going to try to seduce the jury, not with her looks, but with her lies. Not with her goofy gel lipstick, but with leverage. And I don't know about you, but I'm going to be watching every single move, especially Act One, her opening statement. So thanks for listening to this episode of Profiling Evil. If this case fascinates you like it does me, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're ringing the bell. Please give us a thumbs up and please share us with your friends. And let me know down in the comments section whether you think Lori's still trying to play everybody. Or is the jury already on to her? You know, you can find Profiling Evil on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you like audio podcasts on the go, please check out Profiling Evil podcasts on your favorite podcast platform. Remember, you can head over to our website at profilingevil.com where you can check out the Doomsday Daybell story map. And if you'd like to learn more about cults, their recruiting tactics, and how seemingly intelligent people become cult members, purchase my book Deceived, an investigative memoir of the Zion Society cult. It's the story of my investigation into and the ultimate takedown of a religious cult that operated much like the Daybell Doomsday Cult. I think you'd like it, and if you live in the United States, I'll sign the book and I'll ship it to you for free. Otherwise, you can get Deceived anywhere in the world through Amazon.com. Hey, thanks for your support of Profiling Evil. We'll see you soon at the next crime scene.